Alright, so here's part 2. It's just goal 3, midpoint and distance. So these are two formulas that you have already seen. You saw it in pre-algebra, you saw it in algebra 1, so now you are going to see it again in geometry. Now, your midpoint, we already know is in the middle of a segment. So your midpoint formula is what we use to find exactly what that coordinate is. So if we have a segment that has 2 points, we're going to call them A and B. They are represented as x1, y1, because remember points written as xy, and x2, y2. And you're going to use those to find M, our midpoint. And here's how you do it. You say x1 plus x2 divided by 2. That gives you your x value for your midpoint. And then we have y1 plus y2 divided by 2. And that gives you your y value for your midpoint. So let's do an example. All right, find the midpoint with the given points. So what I like to do first is I like to label what I have. So I'm going to say, okay, well here's my x1, y1, and my x2, y2. Using our formula that we have up here, let's go ahead and plug our information in. So we have 1 plus 4 divided by 2.
All right.
Sorry, had to pause it because Mr. Gibson came over the intercom. Okay, so we did x1 plus x2 divided by 2. Now we're going to do our y's. So we have y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Now all we do is solve each of these. So we have 1 plus 4, which is 5, divided by 2. And we have negative 3 plus 2, which is negative 1 divided by 2. Now when you type your answers into your Google form for your assignment, do it as decimals. So we would say, okay, parentheses, this is what, 2.5? And this is negative 1/2. Boom. And then this would be your answer that you would type into your Google form. Okay? Now, let's keep going. And remember, you can pause, rewind, do anything you need to watch this video. Okay, next we have our distance formula. So, this is finding the distance from one point to another. So if you have your points again, A, B, remember we know that they are x1, y1, and x2, y2. So our formula this time is square root, okay, of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So we're just going to plug in our information and solve it. All right, so let's do that with our example here. And this is your last example for these notes. So we're going to find the distance when given the following points. Let's go ahead and label our parts. So we have x1, y1, x2, y2. Let's plug in our information. So we're going to have 4 minus 2 squared plus negative 1 minus 3 squared. Okay? You will need a calculator for this. Remember, you can also use any of the calculators on that app list that is on the front part of your Google Classroom. You can also use the calculator on your phone for these problems. So here we go. Using our parentheses first. That's what we're going to do. And do not forget that square root is still there. So 4 minus 2 is 2 squared plus negative 3, or negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4 squared. Now let's square them. So 2 squared is 4 plus negative 4 squared, which is 16. And someone might be saying, wait, isn't that negative 16? Remember, square means we multiply it by itself. So this is saying negative 4 times negative 4, which gives us a positive. And then that gives us a square root of 20. Now, that's not a perfect square. So if this was a question on your homework, you would round to the nearest tenth. So this is giving us 4.472 blah, blah, blah. Nearest tenth means 1 decimal. So we're going to stop here. So we're going to look at this. Just to remind you the rules. 5 or more, raise the score. Okay? So 7 is more than 5, so we're going to raise this score. So our final answer would be 4.5. Okay, now you have an assignment that lines up with goals 2 and 3 for you to complete, and then once you're done with those, that's all the assignments you have. Also, do not forget to take a picture of your notes and send those in on Google Classroom so that you can get a grade for those as well. Thank you.